Hello and welcome everyone to this video where we are going to be discussing, will the rise in IT continue? Well, this is the question which is there on everyone's mind, especially after the results of the three big majors that came out. And well, Infi did clearly stand out as a winner, but it also boils down to how are we going to comprehend this situation, because there are other set of IT stocks which are going to come into play, and we have to see as to how are we going to make some sense out of the same. Because considering the way the IT was running ahead of the result season, it clearly indicated that many people were getting into IT, and the kind of move which we were seeing in IT for some time definitely attracted a lot of buying interest. Well, also some help from the USD INR also brought in some momentum. So we are going to take a look into this video as to how all this is going to be panning out and how should we assess the forthcoming sessions and what kind of mindset we should have as we go ahead into the next week. All right. So when we take a look at the kind of news flow which we have seen, we, especially in the IT space, which always starts off the result season, the Q3 is always an important quarter as far as the result season for the IT space is concerned. And yes, the run up was quite good, but now we are seeing a mixed kind of emotions which are at play, and we have to see how to read through these setups, how to find out what kind of activities to do. Well, the revenue may be good, and probably the dollar revenue may also be good, but then the guidance is something which can be debated, can be discussed. And there are also other factors like the kind of attrition which a company is facing, the kind of additions which they are doing, and the kind of export numbers, etc. So there are a lot of factors which go into reading the setup of the IT setup, IT stocks, which are going to pan out in the coming days. But then what we have to see is how is the overall IT sector panning out, and how can we comprehend them so that we participate in the stock that is showing some best of the moment. So what I thought is, let me take a look at the overall indices, right? The IT index, and then take a cue as to what really is the IT index saying, and then try to understand the other stocks in comparison. So let's go right in and find out what are we having in store. And by the way, if you are joining me in this video for the first time, I would like you to hit the subscribe button so that you always stay connected with us and get some info all the time from our studios, so that you get to know exactly how to read the markets, how to interpret the markets. So let me go right in and find out what is in store, right? You can see here on the charts that the IT index, okay, the IT index has been moving steadily. Okay, the IT index has been moving steadily. And right now, I find that the daily IT index has come into a very good support. You can see here it's a very nice support which is there on the IT index. And the IT index clearly suggests, right? The IT index clearly suggests that there is a support which has been seen over the last few sessions, and now the IT index is trying to do well. That definitely augurs the bullish momentum. And you can see that over the last few days, there has been a very good move which has been seen in IT. And now IT has come into a very good support region. So overall prospects of IT looks positive. Well, the considering the way the overall scenario is there, it definitely augurs well for the stocks that declared the result. So what I thought is, why don't I do a comparative analysis to find out exactly how are they placed and what kind of thought process I can bring to the table. So I used this IT setup, and I have created here the results that have been declared, right? The results that have been declared are these four as of now, and there are more coming up. One was declared over the weekend, which was HCLTECH, and there are more coming up in the coming week. So we will be discussing that in few moments from now. But then what you can see here is that as far as the IT index is concerned, the Wipro is underperforming the Nifty IT, while you can see here the pink line is the TCS. Pink TCS has been gaining momentum, but the surprise in the pack, Infosys was clearly the leader when when the results were announced, and Infosys is seen taking some initiative and trying to move ahead. So, considering the way the overall scenario is structured, right? Considering the way the overall scenario is structured, TCS and Infi are clearly outperforming the Nifty IT, which says that there is some strong shift in momentum. And when you take a look, okay, when you take a look at the setup, you are seeing that the Wipro has already moved lower. Mindtree, which came out with the result, also met with muted numbers, and the price action also suggested that there is some bit of profit booking out there. So you can see here that Wipro and Mindtree are having a bearish intent. So these kind of structures are what is looked at by the FIs and the DIs when they evaluate recasting their portfolio as to what kind of switching they need to do. And this information gives everyone, it could be an FI or a DI, or it could also be individuals like us, to find out where exactly we should position ourselves. So from here, you clearly get that idea. Now, we have got some idea based on the relative strength. So now what I'll do is I will go into my favorite, right? I'll go into my favorite, which is NeoTrader. And using NeoTrader, I will try and understand what exactly can we do and how exactly can we interpret this situation. तो चलो न्यू ट्रेडर में चलते हैं और न्यू ट्रेडर के थ्रू हम देखते हैं कि इसको हम इंटरप्रेट कैसे करेंगे. तो न्यू ट्रेडर में मैंने क्या किया है, मैंने एक अलग वॉच लिस्ट बनाया है और उस वॉच लिस्ट में व्हाट आई विल डू इज, इफ यू सी हियर, आई विल गो इनटू द वीकली टाइम फ्रेम and what I'll do is I have got all these stocks in this watch list. So you can see here that NeoTrader is suggesting to us that MINDTREE, there has been a trend shift, and NeoTrader says that the trend has shifted from bullish to bearish in MINDTREE, and NeoTrader is suggesting that based on the price action, this was the situation, right? TCS and Infi were bullish and they have moved to this situation. They have come till R3 for the week. And now Wipro is at deep S4, while Mindtree has just begun its weakness. So immediately, this page in NeoTrader gives you an immediate insight into this particular setup. Now what I do is I move to the monthly. Right, I move to the monthly. When I move into the monthly, I very easily am able to find out that yes, TCS has gone up sharply and Infi, on the other hand, has just begun. So when you take a look at this kind of setup, and you can see here that yes, Wipro 2 is showing some weakness and Mindtree is about to get started. So this kind of message. So I am using the concept of pivot through NeoTrader, which summarizes the whole flow of action. You know exactly what is happening. You are able to connect the news flow, and you are able to also see that the kind of strength which is there, the weakness which is there, and all that you are combining it with the pivot understanding. Now, based on this, you know exactly what is the situation, how you should participate, and on the week you already have this as a situation. So you know that between Infi and TCS, Infi is a go, because yes, TCS is for people who are willing to withstand some gyration, because TCS has already moved quite well. Yes, there is sufficient momentum, but if you want to get started in a new set of move, that would be coming from Infi, right? So Infi has got more room compared to TCS. That's what is the message which is coming. But then both the stocks are positive and they should be tracked. Now, this is the scenario what we are observing here. And everyone feels that yes, Wipro is bearish and we should consider it to look at the bearish scenario. So what I will do is I will also take some help from my Ichimoku dashboard. This is another brilliant page of NeoTrader where you get very good insight on how a particular situation can be seen. And here we have got a very powerful scenario. Well, the IT, we spoke about it as bullish. और bullish scenario में overall situation क्या है? Bullish scenario में overall situation क्या है? वो हम देखेंगे with this particular filter. And when I do this filtration, okay, when I do this filtration for Wipro, I see that Wipro, right, Wipro is having a CS rank. NeoTrader has got a very intelligent feature which helps you to evaluate where exactly is the stock lying in, what zone. And when you see a CS rank 3, you have to be very careful of participating in that stock because there are high chances of consolidation. So what we saw here that there has been deep decline in Wipro, and now this is showing as CS rank 3. So when you combine both, you can conclude that probably Wipro may take a rest for some time. It may not quickly deteriorate or it may not quickly decline. So considering all this, I would not be a seller in Wipro, but then yes, I would definitely consider MindTree because MindTree is showing some signs of decline. Now, why am I saying that? Because Mindtree is in this scenario, correct? And Mindtree is also the trend has shifted. So Mindtree would be a better sell candidate. And if you want to do a pair trade, the IT sector is also primed for that pair trade scenario, right? So this is the situation here. And let us go and discuss the forthcoming stocks. So you can see here, the forthcoming stocks are put in the other bucket. And you can see here that HCLTECH was looking positive ahead of the results. And now you can see that HCLTECH definitely indicates that yes, there is some potential. All right, HCLTECH. And on the decline, S3, LTTS and LTI, right? LTTS and LTI. So now if you want to take a look at the chart, so let's also quickly go to the charts. You can see here that on this chart, we have done a similar comparison. You can see here that HCLTECH, which is in gray color, is once again outperforming the benchmark, while LTI and LTTS are here, LTI and LTTS are here, and they are below the benchmark. So LTI and LTTS are performing below the benchmark. So there are chances of these two stocks showing some decline. So yes, the whole scenario of results is you have to see what is the action by the market, what action is taken by the market. Yes, there is some premeditated action, but then you also got to see how is the result panning out, what is the news flow coming out post the results, and how are people accepting the results. After the results are digested, they are done and dusted, then you know exactly how to position yourself. Yes, this is the kind of view which you need to form ahead of the results so that you are able to plan your activity going ahead into the result season. So that's what you got to do on the sector as a whole, the stock specific as a whole. You should know which stock is doing well so that if the results come up, the results of HCLTech has already out. So now you know it's outperforming the benchmark. Now combining all this news flow and information, you will be able to participate. So we'll go and take a look at HCLTech in a different way. Hang on a moment, and you will say exactly what needs to happen. And along with all this, you also need to understand that the role which dollar revenue, dollar revenue is an important role, especially when we discuss about IT. So how has the dollar performed, especially in the last few days? Let's go and take a look at that. So here I have with me the USD INR chart. Okay, you can see here, this is the USD INR chart. You can see at the steady rise, it was broken somewhere towards the mid of June. There was some brief decline and then it accelerated. So there has been almost a month of steady decline, and this entire decline, right? This entire decline, you can see it has come to a very important support region. You can see here of the low which was formed in August, it has come to a very important Fibonacci support. So now after coming to this Fibonacci support, it formed a nice inverted hammer, and after forming this inverted hammer, it is now showing a rebound. So this decline, which was initiated through RBI intervention and other global cues, has helped the IT stocks as well. Now, if this recovers swiftly, can the IT continue to rise? That's a question. So there is going to be some stock specific action, and we have to be ready with that stock specific action so that we know exactly what we need to do. So once again, we go back to our friend NeoTrader and find out exactly how to action them. So you can see here, LTI and LTTS seems to be on the weaker side. Now, again, if I shift it to the monthly, okay, if I shift it to the monthly, let's see how is the position. And when you shift it to the monthly, you will see that the whole setup, all right, the whole setup is indicating that there is probably going to be some action. And this action is something which we need to witness on a steady manner, because it's not going to be easy. Markets are going to test us, markets are going to test your patience. And when you are looking at the overall scenario, you can see here that the stocks are in ranging condition. Why? Because there is some bit of confusion as far as the higher time frames are concerned. Now, when you come from the monthly, right? So a grandfather, father, son approach, you can see here, this is the higher time frame, the monthly. Now, when you go into the weekly, you get some idea. So let's go into HCLTech. All right. And let me just quickly show you what the prospects of HCLTech. For that, I get into Stock Analyzer. Stock Analyzer is a very powerful tool. Here you get to know exactly how is the kind of setup, what is the kind of setup. So you get to know that. So there are many sections in Stock Analyzer. Let me just go to the important part, which can give you some highlight. So here we are seeing that the stock is showing some potential to move up. Now, what we're going to do is, as we step into the next week, there are certain points which are mentioned here. So I'll just highlight them for you so that you can action them. You can see here that there is something called as a confluence zone, which you can identify using our pivot page. And you can see here that through the stock analyzer, you know exactly this is a kind of confluence. And when there are pivot confluences, it helps us to plan our trade. So as an intraday play, 1353 would be your target zone. Then if you want to stretch it further, 1372 would be your target zone, which ties up with your multi-day R2. And then you have got, if the move is extremely bullish, R4, it will tie up with your multi-day R3. So HCLTech, if you were to speak about for the coming week, it looks to have a potential target of 1403, while MINDTREE is the other stock which is looking bearish as of now. And yes, the trend has also shifted as I had highlighted to you. So going into the next week, there are some very clear trends which are visible in HCLTech and MINDTREE. So HCLTech for long and MINDTREE for short. So I hope you got some idea about what kind of analysis we do at NeoTrader, how we combine the elements of news flow and we combine it with the power of NeoTrader. NeoTrader is a very beautiful software that will help you take market decisions with ease. If you like what I shared and if you would like to analyze more stocks in this manner, you can put it on the comment section below, and also leave a like on this video and also subscribe and hit the bell icon, because these kind of videos are what which will inspire you to trade better, understand the market better, and also be an engaging market participant. Till we meet again, thank you so much. This is Raja Venkatraman signing off. Catch you soon.